All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're decoding what is arguably the absolute most fascinating corporate ascent in modern technology. We often look at tech giants and just kind of assume their dominance was inevitable, right? Like it was just a stroke of luck or some right place, right time magic. But as an industry analyst, I can tell you that NVIDIA's absolute monopoly over today's technological landscape, it is the result of highly deliberate, almost impossibly risky technological pivots. To really grasp the stakes of what we're analyzing today, we absolutely have to start with this number. $2.7 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. That is NVIDIA's current market capitalization. They didn't just casually join the trillion-dollar club, they completely skyrocketed past it. They leapfrogged legacy giants like Apple and Meta to become literally the most valuable tech company on the planet. And this comparison brilliantly illustrates exactly what a $2.7 trillion valuation actually means in the real world. We are no longer comparing a tech company to other tech companies. We are comparing a silicon manufacturer to sovereign nations. NVIDIA's economic value has officially surpassed the gross domestic product of major global economies like Russia, South Korea, and Spain. They are, economically speaking, a nation-state of computation. So, to figure out how a 1990s gaming startup managed to outvalue global economies, we've broken this explainer down into 5 key phases. First, the trillion-dollar titan. Second, 30 days from bankruptcy. Third, inventing the GPU. Fourth, the great AI pivot. And finally, scaling the AI factory. Phase 1, the trillion-dollar titan. Look at the present-day reality of NVIDIA. It's just staggering. And it's built almost entirely on their data center monopoly. We're talking about a massive 427% year-over-year jump in data center revenue alone. They aren't just participating in the AI revolution, they are the literal engine room powering it. Every major player, from OpenAI to Google to Meta, relies fundamentally on NVIDIA's architecture. They've completely transformed from a simple chipmaker into an AI factory, providing the indispensable hardware layer for everything generative AI does today. Which brings us to phase 2, 30 days from bankruptcy. Okay, let's dive into this origin story because it is wild. The year is 1993. NVIDIA is founded in a booth at a Denny's diner in San Jose by Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem. Eventually, they score a pitch meeting with legendary venture capitalist Don Valentine at Sequoia Capital, and they completely bomb the pitch. They're a newbie company asking for millions for an unproven PC gaming market. Valentine actually gives them a $20 million lifeline anyway, but he leaves Jensen Huang with this chilling warning. If you lose my money, I'll kill you. And man, that pressure was immediate. Their early timeline is brutal. They launched their first chip, the NV1, in 1995. It was a massive, expensive failure. They gave their partner 250,000 units to sell, and a staggering 249,000 of them were returned. Ouch. They had to lay off staff, cancel their next chip. By 1997, they were on their absolute last leg. So they poured literally everything into the Riva 128. It was a true do-or-die moment. And miraculously, it worked. They sold 1 million units in 4 months, saving the company from total collapse. But here's the thing. That sheer terror from 1997, it permanently altered the company's DNA. In fact, this phrase, "we're only 30 days away from going out of business," became NVIDIA's unofficial motto. They literally still use it to this day. As analysts, this tells us exactly how NVIDIA views the market. Early tech hardware was a highly volatile zero-sum game, and they knew complacency equals death. This hyper-paranoid survival instinct is exactly what drove their next major breakthrough. Phase 3, inventing the GPU. Fast forward to 1999, NVIDIA drops the GeForce 256. They didn't just release a new graphics card here, they coined a completely new term, the GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit. What made this so revolutionary was that it added programmability to hardware acceleration. It significantly increased a computer's processing abilities by handling massive amounts of graphical data simultaneously. This brilliant piece of engineering totally locked in the PC gaming market for them, and it landed them a massive $200 million deal to power the original Microsoft Xbox. Now here is the absolute turning point. Phase 4, the Great AI Pivot. By the mid-2000s, NVIDIA was a highly successful, safe gaming company. But they made a crucible decision. While their core business was bringing in lucrative cash, they actively chose to divert attention, personnel, and massive amounts of capital away from that safe core. Instead, they poured it into unproven AI research and deep learning. This was a wholesale pivot. No one knew if AI would be profitable. It was an enormous bet-the-company kind of risk to wager their future on artificial intelligence. The linchpin of this entire pivot? It was CUDA. Released in 2006, CUDA is a closed-source parallel computing platform and API. So what does that mean in plain English? Well, it was basically a software layer that allowed external developers and researchers to use NVIDIA's GPUs for things other than rendering video game graphics. CUDA unlocked the massive, simultaneous processing power of the GPU for general-purpose, highly complex mathematical computing. And how university researchers reacted to CUDA? Well, it changed everything. Andrew Yang, a Stanford computer science professor, noted that when his students started using CUDA to train neural networks, which is the very foundation of deep learning, they started seeing 10x or even 100x speedups. Deep learning requires processing absolute mountains of data fast. Traditional CPU chips just couldn't handle it efficiently, but NVIDIA's GPUs, unlocked by CUDA, were perfectly designed for it. NVIDIA had essentially built the shovel years before the gold rush even started. Which leads us to our final phase, scaling the AI factory. So, how did this early bet scale up? It all comes down to a deeply symbiotic relationship with the companies actually building the AI models. Step 1. Jensen Huang literally hand-delivered the world's first DGX AI supercomputer to a little startup you might know called OpenAI. Step 2. OpenAI launches ChatGPT, which scales to an astronomical 10 million daily queries, requiring massive data centers entirely powered by NVIDIA hardware just to function. And step 3, we are now looking at future horizons where OpenAI and NVIDIA are teaming up to link 1 million GPUs together for next-generation intelligence. NVIDIA's hardware and OpenAI's massive data needs just fed each other perfectly. So the crucial takeaway here is that this pivot utterly destroyed the old world order of computing. For decades, Intel, the king of the CPU, was the undisputed master of Silicon Valley. Look at them today. Intel's market cap sits around $185 billion. NVIDIA, the king of the GPU and the parallel processor, sits at $2.7 trillion. NVIDIA is worth more than 11 times what Intel is. It is a dramatic, complete changing of the guard from old legacy processors to modern AI infrastructure. And when we zoom out and analyze where this massive revenue is actually coming from, we see a fascinating global picture. In 2023, while the US dominated with nearly $27 billion in revenue, which totally makes sense given the heavy concentration of AI hyperscalers stateside, we also see massive demand from Taiwan, China, and an expanding other category, which includes huge new growth from nations like Singapore. The AI hardware rush is globally distributed, and everyone on the planet is buying from the exact same supplier. But hey, no titan operates without friction, right? Looking at their future horizons and risks, we see that regulators are deeply aware of NVIDIA's power. Their attempted $40 billion acquisition of chip designer ARM was actually scrapped after massive pushback from US, UK, and EU regulators who were super concerned about anti-competitive monopolies. Yet, blocked in one direction, they just pivot to another. They recently dropped a $50 million investment into Figure AI, a startup aggressively developing humanoid robots, alongside OpenAI and Jeff Bezos. They are actively funding the next physical frontier of artificial intelligence. Which leaves us with this final, profound question to consider. A company that began 30 years ago in a Denny's diner, completely reliant on teenage video game programmers and literally mere days away from bankruptcy, is now the foundational bedrock of the AI revolution. As experts warn of, or, eagerly anticipate, the arrival of sentient, superintelligent AI in the next decade, we have to ask, when that superintelligence finally wakes up, will its digital brain be built entirely on NVIDIA's architecture? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll catch you next time.